How's it, guys, and welcome to another episode of the PH Journals podcast. Today's episode is a pretty unique one. I've touched on the subject before in previous podcasts, but I think now I've just got a little bit more knowledge about it. Okay, but before we get into it, firstly, disclaimer, I am recording. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. It's now 9 o'clock here in African time. It is bucketing down outside, which is beautiful to do. And I just felt like today was the appropriate time to come into the studio and record this episode because I've had a couple of discussions over the past couple of weeks about this particular topic. Before we get into that, just a big shout out to this week's episode sponsor of the podcast, and that's all about camera stuff. Guys, if you guys haven't yet, and you are a South African creator, whether you're a hunting creator, podcast developer, whatever you guys are in the industry of creating content or photography or videography, I highly recommend you use the link down below because every click, every purchase through that link, it's 10% off. But also it just helps me build this platform that I've been continuing with for the past, say, 6-7 years now. And most of the stuff in the studio that you see is all given to me. The camera I'm recording off is powered by the newer external battery with the newer dummy battery that's plugged into my FX30 right here. I've got the Godox sound or Godox light box. And then this weekend or next weekend, we are heading off into the Philadelphia and I'll be recording off some of their cool equipment. So if you guys want to find out more, click the link down below in the description. If you are listening to this podcast, guys, please head along to any one of my social medias. There will be a link there. Click on that link. Use that link to purchase your goodies. It does help me in some very small way. But every little bit in this industry counts, right? So, yeah, I know I've become one of those guys that are, please click the link below. And I promised myself I was never going to be one of those guys. But I must say, the stuff I've been using has been out of this world. I really can't thank Camera Stuff enough. And, I'm really looking forward to this long journey ahead with them. And it helps me build this creative box or this creative space that I'm very, very passionate about. Secondly, if you guys haven't heard yet, there's guys shouting in the background. I stay pretty close to the golf course where they are hosting like a little 5K marathon every single Saturday. So I hear this from like 7 o'clock in the morning. So I do apologize about it. They're cheering the guys in. So please excuse the background noise. And then, of course, we're recording this during the day. So my dogs might be barking and might get a little bit distracting. So I highly apologize about that. And then before we go, Sarkor Nutrition. If you guys haven't yet, go and check out their page. They are unbelievable. Like I said, these guys came a part of my Ironman journey 2 years ago, and now they are part of my everyday life. So, Sarkor Nutrition, thumbs up, guys. Well done. Cool. Guys, that's it. Let's get into this week's episode of the podcast. Cool, guys. So this week's episode of the podcast is all about trophy hunting. What does it mean for the industry? What does it mean as individuals? What does it mean as a professional hunter? And what does it mean as an outfitter? The reason why this discussion sparked a little bit of interest in me and why I thought it was such a unique way to bring it forward as a podcast topic is I've had a bunch of guys reach out to me over the past years. Every single week there will be at least one guy that will reach out to me and we get into some like sort of conversation about how the industry has evolved, especially around podcasting topics and stuff. But Scott, I hope if you're listening to this, I hope you don't mind me mentioning your name. He sent me an image of his kudus that he shot, or a kudu that he shot without the chevron white on the face. And something I've never seen before, never ever seen it. Couple of weeks ago, for the first time ever, I was on a mate's farm of mine, and we were just scouting the area, and we did a little bit of footage and stuff like that. And I saw kudu with a beautiful white spot on her shoulder, and that's something I've never seen before either. But having like just very simple, basic conversations with a squat, I realized something very, very cool. That I think the industry for good has this perception of trophy hunting, not so much of the size of the horns, but what particular animals mean to hunters and PHs and outfitters. And this is so cool to see, because literally straight after that, I had a guy send me a photo of his mule deer, and I was chatting to him, and I said, "Oh shit, that's such a cool mule deer. Could you give me more information on it?" And he's like, "Dylan, I don't know too much about the situation, but all I can tell you, it's an old buck. He shot it out in New Mexico." He said, "It's taken me 6 years to shoot a mule deer of that sort of caliber." He hunts a lot down in Mexico for these particular mule deer. I'll try and get the image back up on it, or I want to see if I could save it off Instagram. But this mule deer is one of my favorite North American animals. And it has such a beautifully unique structure to its antlers. Thick, like extremely thick. Like when you look at an animal, you can see, shit, that animal's just got age to it. I mean, he's been around the block. So that mule deer in particular caught my eye, and I dropped him a DM. I was like, "Hey Mark, listen, like that's a beautiful mule deer. I've never seen anything like it. Where could you give me some more information?" And we just got into conversation about it. And he's like, "You won't understand, like I've shot mule deer on a regular, like much bigger than that. And but this one means the most to me because I've never seen anything like it. I've never hunted anything like it." So I got into this like rhythm as the week went on, and more conversations started happening. A mate of mine, Nick Napa, he's one of the best young hunters I've ever worked with, ever. And I say that with utmost respect. And I really want to go and shoot a bushbuck with him this year out in the Kumche area in the Eastern Cape. And we started chatting about like, well, you know, what are we going to be looking for? We're going to be looking for size. And I'm like, no, like, dude, I want the gnarliest ram you can ever find. Like, he must be as old as shit. I don't care if he's a 12-inch ram, if he's worn down, stomp, whatever it may be. This will only ever be if I'm successful on it, my second bushbuck ram. And yeah, so you know, Wayne Dell, chatting to him, I'm like, "Wayne, listen, I really want to come shoot a bushbuck down at the coast. I want to come and shoot a bush pig with you and your setup and all that sort of stuff." And me and him often have conversations about trophy hunting a lot. Just like, I think as soon as yesterday or 2 days ago, we were chatting about buffalo bulls because we're trying to find buffalo bulls for our clients. And he sent me a couple of images on a farm nearby to him, and we were just like, yes, you know, like, yeah, these guys want size now, but those are really beautiful bulls, hard boss bulls. Yes, they're not the biggest. They're not over 40. They're 36, 37, 38, whatever it may be, flat boss bulls. But they're just so beautiful in their own way. Cool. So I'm waffling on you, and I want to try and bring some structure to this because this is a topic I'm extremely passionate about. But when I started PHing, one thing I learned very quickly, we were slapped over the wrist at PH school, is don't ever say a trophy is in the eye of the beholder, because theoretically on book, it's not. Okay? But then what does it mean? What does it mean? Because the truth is, most people have their opinion on trophy hunting without ever understanding what the word trophy actually really means. And that comes from the outside world. Trophy hunting can be deemed extremely harmful to the industry because of the perception of what it is. Oh, you are receiving a trophy for sport. Never mind the backstory that goes in to developing that trophy. To break the stereotype, when people hear trophy hunting, they picture ego, big animals, photos on social media, maybe even like cruelty around it, especially the guys recently. I've seen there's a bad habit coming in with a lot of blood, a lot of guts. These perceptions don't come from nowhere, but they are not in the full picture either. The problem is we've allowed the world of trophy hunting to be defined by people who have never lived or experienced hunting before. Now that's true. So what happens is we allow for, sorry guys, I just want to put this on silent here. We allow for perception to happen if we don't defend it. And I'm hoping with podcasts like this, we can educate people around what actually goes on behind the trophy, the actual animal. Now, notice not once have I mentioned in a trophy the size of the horns, the size of the animal, anything like that, because I personally believe a trophy is a good conservation piece, a good story you can hang on your wall, look at it from time to time, and reminisce on the memories that you received from that magnificent animal. But not only that, has it supplied conservation? Have you ticked all the boxes? Have you done conservation, fed families, given back to the industry? If those boxes are all ticked, that trophy has a lot bigger significance than you may think. But the problem is, how do we communicate this? The problem is, as hunters, how do we set ourselves apart from saying, okay, greenies, if this is your perception, allow me to try and make you understand the hard work that goes into that trophy. Because a lot of the time, and if you revert back to sports, and I love reverting back to sports as far as hunting is concerned, because I came from a professional era. I came from a professional rugby background. So I have a very small understanding of what actually goes on with professional sports as far as sponsorship deals, endorsements, and all these sort of things. People see the awards, the winning, the end product of all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes. They never see the work that goes on behind the scenes. I had a great conversation with a mate of mine. He still plays professional rugby, and he's doing exceptionally well, earns a boatload full of money. And the one day I said to him, I said, what part of this whole journey annoys you the most? And he said to me, he said, you know what, Dills, the hardest thing for me to try and get around or get over is that when this is all said and done, I'm going to be remembered for my rugby career, but I'm not going to be remembered for all the hard work, the sacrifices, and everything else that I put my family through for the future. So I'm going to be based on succession, but I'm not going to be based on the hard work. And often we tend to forget that as hunters as well. For instance, Scott's kudu, beautiful kudu bull, how it's gotten to a point where that bull was 8-9 years old and been passed up probably by many hunters without the chevron sign, because one of the things as a professional hunter, the first thing we look at is the face of the animal. Especially me, I like to judge the age of the animal by the face, and to pick up an animal without a chevron sign would be pretty unique to take. But so I can only assume that time and time again that bull has been passed up until he's reached a certain age to be able to be taken. And Scott was the lucky hunter that day to take that beautiful animal. But it's the story behind that animal that is so significant. Imagine every single hunting season chasing females, passed up time and time again from hunters, being a satellite bull, being a bull that's traveled from herd to herd, covering various different females, lived 8 years of its life just battling through the drought, getting through harsh winters, and coming out on the other end a bigger, stronger bull every single year on year and year, and now becoming a dominant bull, covering his females, making sure that his genetics get passed on through the circle of life, and then obviously being hunted. And there's a story in the hunt. I don't know the actual story of the hunt. Scott didn't share it with me, but yeah. And you look at that and you're just like, wow, like that in itself is something beautifully special. So, again, we've got to learn to appreciate the backstory of this magnificent animal that's given us a moment in time that we get to reminisce time and time again, especially when he's hanging on the wall now. It's those things that define what trophy hunting is really about. And then on the other hand, you've got your professional hunter, and your professional hunter is working season in and season out, making sure that he's got the right particular bulls at the right moment, planning the hunt the night before, making sure that he's going to get his clients into the best possible position so that if this kudu feeds out with these females during the rut period, that this bull is going to be in a particular area and hopefully they've got 150 to a 200 yard shot that they can sneak in, work off a krantz, whatever the scenario is. That's trophy hunting. Sometimes trophy hunting, most times, trophy hunting is a lot more challenging than just plain old hunting. Why? Because the professional hunter behind the sticks, behind the binoculars, is so picky. How many times has clients driven around in a pickup and we will glass over a certain hill or walk over a ridge and glass up thousands of different animals through our binoculars and turn to his hunter and said, we can do better. Or I know there's bigger. That is work and effort that has gone in to making sure that that trophy is a success. And when that trophy becomes a success, it's a story, it's a memory. It's something that gets reminisced time and time again for decades, not just a couple of years, for decades. For as long as that animal is on that wall, you get to reminisce on those memories time and time and time again. Some people still have dreams about them. Heck, my first bushback hunt with Grant acting in COVID, I don't even have it. I don't even know where the trophy is, but I can walk you through every step, every crawl, every position that we got ourselves into. The pain in my legs, in my knees and all that sort of stuff. The jitters I got through the scope. It's part of it. And when we get to put that photo onto Instagram, yeah, sure, people are going to see us as if we are lifting the World Cup soccer trophy or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, it's the continuous workload that went on behind the scenes that made that all possible. So for me, trophy has never been just about the animal. A trophy is proof of something earned. It's the early mornings, the missed opportunities, the wind changing at the worst possible time, the patience, the frustration, and eventually the moment when everything comes together. The horns on the wall are just a reminder, a memory, a moment to reflect. The real trophy is the experience you, your PH, and everyone else involved has had. Because it's the workload that's all come together in making that moment so very special. Hunting in South Africa isn't random. It's selective. It's intentional. Older animals past their breeding prime, management of genetics, and the balance within these ecosystems we have created. There's a responsibility that comes with pulling the trigger. And most hunters I know take that extremely seriously. Most professional hunters and outfitters I know is one of the most important aspects in their name and their company. That, ladies and gentlemen, is conservation. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we live for and is what is all behind the trophy. So understanding what the bigger picture is, it's more than an animal on the wall. It's all these things collectively coming together and making a story worth remembering and understanding that this is your part you're playing in conservation and keeping these magnificent animals here for a very, very long time. Because if we're not keeping them here for a long time, we are all failing. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of us out there that are doing an exceptional job. So at the end of the day, the strong let me have some Sarkor nutrition. These are the dogs I'm talking about. Anyway, conservation, the strong ground. Here's a part that a lot of people don't want to hear. Wildlife in Africa survives because it has value. Hunting gives that value. Land stays wild instead of becoming farmland. Anti-poaching gets funded. Communities benefit. Take the value away, and you don't save animals. You lose them. Simple. I see Wayne has put a brown hyena video on his Instagram page, and that's just a very special. Let me try and rephrase this. There's a very special way we can debate this particular topic, and I'm not going to get into it now, but it's reality a lot of us have been oblivious to. And I say this with respect because I think a lot of individuals out there don't believe these animals are running wild around us. And a brown hyena, as big and as nocturnal as it is, can prove you wrong in a very short space of time. There's leopard. How many of us are keeping quiet about these things? And this is a conservation story we need to start telling, because we need to look after these animals. But right now, that brown hyena doesn't have any value. It doesn't have, it's worth nothing. No one's looking after it. No one's monitoring it. No one's doing anything. So it is worth zip. You can't hunt it. So all it's doing is actually costing money, because now it's killing calves. It's killing sheep. It's killing sheep in bomas. It's destroying livelihoods in that area. And unfortunately, these are the areas that I'm talking about where we've created these false ecosystems. So now what do we do? Well, we need to understand, firstly, what is that animal? Is it a female? Is it a male? Does it come from a den? Has it got pups? All these sort of things. And then let's add value to it. Imagine shooting that animal for $20,000. Or I wouldn't know what a brown hyena even costs nowadays, but let's call it $10,000. You get to reimburse that landowner that it's killed all its sheep on. You get to reimburse that landowner that it's killed the calves on. And you walk away with that animal adding so much more value to the ecosystem by paying its way. Now, it's okay for us to preserve these animals, because so what if it takes 2 or 3 calves? I'm going to get my money back for it and more. I'm even going to profit off of it. So sure, take 2 or 3 calves every now and then. But when the time comes and the right hunter comes and that animal is old enough to be hunted, I know I'll get reimbursed and I'll get more money out of it. I'll get a profit out of it. More profit than I would have got out of those calves anyway. That is adding value. That is what I mean by those animals having value to that land. Let's chat a little bit about ethics versus perception. From the outside, it can look harsh. I get that. Like, I understand. Hunting it's a harsh topic to dissolve. I get it. There's an ex-girlfriend of mine. She works very closely with, she studied zoology. She works very closely with the black rhino breeding projects and stuff up in Natal. And she came down and to see her family the other day, and she popped into the office, and yeah, anyway, we had a long conversation, and she said to me something that would always stick with me. She said hunting, in her opinion, is a necessary evil. And I get that. I get that it looks harsh. And trust me when I say this, I think a lot of us don't enjoy the killing part anyway. But it looks like a harsh industry to be involved in. But somebody's got to do it. But what people don't see is what happens after the shot. The silence, the respect, the gratitude. There's nothing casual about taking a life. If anything, it humbles you more than you may think. As hunters, we are taught to deliver the respect to that animal after the shot. We've seen the Europeans add a last meal in their mouths. I'm not 100% sure how that tradition all unfolds, but it's still a huge sign of respect. And I think the way we treat our animals afterwards, by skinning them, preserving the meat so that we can eat them, is a huge respect to that animal. Because not only is that animal giving its life for other lives, it's holding a very special place in time, because its legacy is going to be living on for years, decades, generations. So, what is a trophy hunter? Well, I want to start off by saying it's okay if you still want to chase size. There's a space in this industry for all of that. Without the guys chasing size, there's no breeders. Without breeders, there's no amount sufficient of game. But also there's not an opportunity for our genetics to get better, bigger and better. So everyone has a unique role to play in this false ecosystem and this beautiful way of life. Because let's face facts. Some are there for the statuses, some are there for the stories, some are there for the experiences, and some are there for the inches. Some are there just for the meat. Some are just there for the good time on a weekend with their mates. You guys all play a unique role in this industry that we love so much. So let's not lose that. If you are any one of those hunters, embrace it. Be honest with yourself about it. And just understand that with the inches might not come the experience. With the inches might not come the stories. With the meat might not come the experience or the stories. But understand, for the bigger picture, you are playing a role. And we appreciate that. We really do. As long as it's done ethically and morally correct, you guys have played a unique role in this circle of life. And we are grateful for that. Because without each and every single one of us playing those roles, we can forget about this industry. And there's some remarkable hunters out there that are doing just that. So thank you. My personal reflection, well, some of the animals that mean the most to me aren't the biggest, like I've mentioned. They're the ones that have tested me, the ones that made me doubt myself, the ones that have taught me something, even though I wasn't even looking for a lesson. Those are the trophies that stay with you forever. Being able to look back on my memories, being able to look back on my phone's photos, and reminisce on some of the most incredible hunts I've been on, with hunters, individuals, friends, and family. It's something very, very special to me, and it's something I hold very dear to my heart. I haven't shot boatloads of animals personally, but I've been on boatloads of hunts and adventures, and I've been a part of many individuals' memories, and that, as a hunter, is all I could have ever asked for. Here's something I've thought about a lot. Why do we celebrate trophies in sport, but criticize them in hunting? The Rugby World Cups, the fishing records, the business success. We all chase something. We all measure achievements in some way. Hunting is no different. It's just less understood. In closing, guys, at the end of the day, trophy hunting isn't about taking something from an animal. It's about what hunt gives back to you as an individual. Perspective, respect, lessons, gratitude, empathy. And if you've never experienced it, it's easy to judge. But if you have, you'll understand that the real trophy was never just the horn length, but the story, the hunt, and the animal behind this magnificent success. I never wanted to bring trophy hunting to light, but rather try and change the perception on what trophy hunting is really all about. It's an empathetic battle, and it's a storytelling tool for the hunter. Hunters are probably one of the most understood individuals out there. And it's my hope one day that with every podcast, every hunt, every successful story, hunters get understood in a better way, in a more positive way. Because the work we are doing behind the scenes, for some, goes unnoticed. But for the guys that are involved in the industry, it means the world. Because we are preserving and conserving our wildlife for future generations to come. And for myself, I appreciate that. Because one day my daughters will get to share the exact same stories I get to share today. And that's it. Such a difficult topic. Anyway, guys, trophy hunting, there's a space in the industry. We just need to try and change the perception on it. Thank you guys for listening. I'm looking forward to next week. Next week, I go on the fellow deer baby. I've been seeing some photos and videos out there, and I'm getting even more jealous from time to time. It's killing me. But anyway, yeah, guys, thank you to everyone that supported me so far. Like always, if you are, happy hunting. Until then, stay safe, stay blessed, stay humble. I'll catch up with you guys soon.